welcome to Olivia Riley Art. Today we're going to be discussing watercolor paint storage, closable palettes versus wells, different types of paints, tubes versus half pans, and kind of your most cost-effective way to purchase watercolor supplies as a beginner, or more cost-effective ways to store your supplies if you already have started watercolors and you'd like to build onto your collection. All right, let's talk about tubes versus half pans. Watercolor typically comes in two different forms. You can buy tubes, or you can purchase it in this half pan variety where they already have poured the paint from the tube and let it dry, and you just activate it with watercolor. Now, when I first started watercolor, I purchased this Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor set. It came with 12 half pans in there, and then it also has these great mixing areas. And if I want to purchase more half pans, I have room to fill this out. Now, this particular set came with a nice variety of blues, greens, yellows, reds, neutral colors, even came with black, which is not something I typically use. I thought it was very inexpensive for what it offered. It does go for about $30 on Amazon. It does not come in this metal tin. I purchased this at my local art store. So if you have a local art store in your area, I would recommend checking it out. You may be able to find something a little different for better price. But as far as the brand goes, I would really recommend Cotman to start. It's great. It provides a great color. These paintings that I have here, all done with Cotman watercolors, and I think it's great for beginners and even someone who's a little bit more intermediate. If you're trying to expand your palette and spend your money most effectively, I would recommend purchasing watercolor paint tubes. Now the Cotman watercolors, again, Winsor & Newton, come in two different sizes, 8 milliliter and 21 milliliter, and they're fairly inexpensive. At my local art store, I can get the smaller tube for about $3 and the larger tube for about $5. In any color I can't find, I've purchased Daniel Smith, and Daniel Smith also has very specific color varieties that they only come from that brand, so that's also a great alternative. Cotman is not considered professional grade, but I think it does a wonderful job. And there's also different brands, and they don't have every color, but again, it's a nice variety of color. The larger tubes don't come in every color as well, but I'll link those below that you can purchase them from Amazon, or go check out your local art store if you have that available. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is storage for your watercolors. Now, if you choose to go the tube route, there's different ways you can use this. You can use it straight from the tube every time you watercolor, and you choose to paint. It will provide a more concentrated color, and it's kind of a little bit of a different painting style since you are using wet paint directly from the tube. Now, it's not as efficient with your supplies. If you want to stretch out your watercolors longer, it is recommended to squeeze them out into a different storage option and letting them dry, and then just activating it later like you do with the half pans. So there are a few different ways to store these. You can get closable palettes, like the tin, or like a plastic closable palette, or you can use open wells. The closable palettes are neat because you can do you can get 18 well storage here, and it comes with a mixing area that you could use. This one's actually removable, so you could have two separate mixing areas. I also like to include a key for myself up here so I can know which color is which. And then you can also purchase empty tins like this that have empty half pans, so you can make your own half pans. I'll put links below in the description for both options. But the closable palettes, the plastic ones, run about $10, and these tins with half pans run about $15. And depending on what kind you get, you may have more space to add more half pans, or it might be a smaller tin. And then there's these open wells here that you can purchase. On Amazon, you can find like a 10 well plastic thing with a like center mixing area. For a pack of 4 of these runs about $5, so it's very inexpensive. But the quality of it is it doesn't quite have the same like sturdy plastic as this closable palette here, or these larger wells. Now the real drawback to using these larger wells is your paints can tend to get more dirty. They can collect more dust and pet hair, and also they can fall out easier. And it does take up more space in your storage. And there's no mixing area that comes with these. That is what is nice about the closable palette and the half pan or the tins. It tends to have a mixing area for you, so you could travel lighter if you're trying to travel and paint with your watercolors. Another thing to think about is if you have a paint that's more tacky than the others and doesn't quite dry all the way, like this azo yellow, you can't really stack your paints because it will stick to the palette above it. But this does come in like 2-pan palettes, 4-pan, and then 9-pan. I did purchase those at my local art store. Again, since you can only get up to like 9 wells in there, and I think it's about $6-7. The closable palette might be more cost effective because you get more storage area or more wells in there. And if you're just trying to store more for a better price, the closable palettes are definitely going to be your best choice. Now, if I were to redo all of my watercolor storage, I would definitely either get tins with the half pans or the closable palette, and not do the wells at all. It does reduce your storage area and it keeps them cleaner. Now you will maybe still get some dust and hair in there, but you're more likely to have cleaner watercolors and kind of keep everything together. Thank you for watching my video on paint storage. How do you like to store your paints? Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Again, if you're gonna purchase, if you're a beginner watercolor artist or someone who's trying to expand your supplies in the most cost-effective way, I would recommend purchasing tubes of Cotman watercolors if you don't have your favorite brand already, and finding closable palettes to store your paint in. This will be the most cost-effective way for you to have paints. And then if you don't have a dedicated space to store everything, or really have like a dedicated art space, it provides for you to kind of paint anywhere and take your paints with you. Now, if you have any comments or suggestions on things you would like to see in the future, please drop your comments below, and I'd love to hear from you. So like and subscribe to this video, and thank you for following Olivia Riley Art.